Hey there, this is Lydia Fielder here in the WSMV4 Now studio, and today I want to talk to you about probably the biggest news that we have had today, and it is to honor the life and legacy of country music legend Toby Keith. Toby Keith, his family announced this morning that he died last night, surrounded by his friends and family, after battling stomach cancer. This diagnosis became public in 2022 for Keith, and that's when he announced it. But his career started all the way back in the 90s as a country music singer, and that's what brought him here to Nashville during that time. You might remember the singer for his hits like Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, Beer for My Horses, Should Have Been a Cowboy was really the first hit. In fact, AP reports that it was the most played country song in the 1990s. So Toby has left a legacy, no doubt. The tributes are just pouring in today for Keith. We want to show you some of those, what people in the country music industry have been saying, his peers. First, I want to show you this statement that his family released. This is how they announced he died. It says, Toby Keith passed peacefully last night on February 5th, surrounded by his family. Then we go into some video here, old video from Toby Keith's some of his first music videos and performances. But again, tributes and thoughts pouring in from older generation like Alan Jackson here, who says, Denise and I are saddened to hear about our friend Toby Keith. Our prayers are with Trisha and the entire Keith family. He signs it AJ. Again, that's Alan Jackson on Twitter. And then an even younger artist, a blooming artist who probably idolizes Keith in this industry, as he writes here and on Twitter. He says, too many rides in my old man's car listening to Toby Keith. Really hard thing to hear. Rest in peace. I love you. But possibly the most beautiful tribute that I've seen has come from Carrie Underwood. Listen to what she pens in her tweet. She also posted this to her Instagram with this story, this picture of Toby. It says, saddle up the horses, Jesus, because a true blue cowboy just made his ride up to heaven. Introduce him to all the Okies and sign that boy up for the choir. We're going to miss you, Toby, but my heart has no doubt that you are standing in the presence of our King right now. She says, see you again someday, friend. I think that is just so beautiful and touching to hear, and no doubt more and more tweets, Instagram posts penned about how Toby Keith has touched so many people's lives. It's interesting that Carrie Underwood mentioned his Oklahoma roots. That's where he was born. In fact, he started his making money for the first time in the Oklahoma oil fields. He writes to the AP that in his first year doing it, he made so much money. He said he made $50,000 as an 18-year-old boy in the 90s, which is really unbelievable. In the 80s, rather. So he got that job in 1979, worked in the oil fields. He says he consistently made money after that by playing music with his band around Oklahoma. And then again, that's what brought him here to Nashville. He worked with Universal Music Group and DreamWorks. Most notably, he has been on somewhat of a little stint as far as appearing publicly. So his cancer diagnosis was in 2022. And then recently he was seen out doing some press, talking to the media. In fact, he did some performances and talked to our Lauren Lowry at the People's Country Music Awards. It was the first ever year of them. He performed at those. And listen to what he told our Lauren Lowry about his bout and battle with this cancer that ultimately we find took his life.
I'm still teaching, getting taught, but it's up and down. It's just lean on your faith. Almighty's been riding shotgun for me, and when you get in your darkest hallways, but you just have to do what's next.
So there he is, Toby Keith, in one of his last interviews with our Lauren Lowry. It was noted today that, as I mentioned, he's been kind of doing some performances, going around with press, doing interviews. One of his last performances was in Vegas. I'll show you this video here. That's him on the stage there, and one of his last appearances. He did Vegas, the People's Choice Awards in country music. And a lot of folks were speculating this could be Toby Keith's restart after he announced his cancer diagnosis. But looking back now, it does seem that it was him doing those things for the last time, as ultimately he succumbed to that stomach cancer. Again, this morning, the news coming out that legendary country music artist Toby Keith died at the age of 62. He was from Oklahoma, moved to here in Nashville in the 90s, and has just changed the face of country music. Really known for his brass and unapologetic tunes, lots of drinking and bar songs. In fact, Taylor Swift, almost 20 years ago, we have video and an interview with Taylor in 2005 that we exclusively have here at WSMV4 of Taylor Swift being starstruck that she signed with Toby Keith's record label. We're going to have that interview and that sound on our newscast today starting at 3 o'clock. So until then, from the WSMV4 Now studios, we will see you on air starting at 3 o'clock this evening and running all through the night. We will talk about Toby, his legacy, and of course continue to see these tributes pouring in from him there. So if you want to see that Taylor interview also, we do have it on our WSMV4 website and our app, and we will of course be running it on air later today. We'll see you in.